Hey friends, Jared here with another review from Fanboys Forever, and today we're going to be taking a look at Spin Master's Cape Crusader line King Shark. Of course, this is the Creature Chaos designation that they have for this series, and I can't wait to take a closer look at this guy. King Shark is a classic DC Comics villain, and I think it's always great whenever he gets any kind of representation in action figure form. So without further ado, let's have a closer look. So if you've ever gotten any of these Spin Master DC figures, you know how this works. You open this up, and in each of these little drawers, you get little accessories that are sort of randomized. There's usually 2 or 3 different versions of a character you can get. And over here, you just punch out this trading card. So this is really cool looking. You have a one of the variants of Armored Batman fighting King Shark. For the accessories, you get these guys, and we'll be having a closer look at them in the accessories section of the review. One side of your product guide shows you all the different locales that you can get for the trading cards, and those locales do have a bearing on which accessory set you get. You can see if I had got this one that looks like the sewers, I would have gotten this accessory loadout. Since I got Gotham Rooftops, I got this accessory loadout with the all blue weapons, and those appear to be the only 2 versions of King Shark himself, and we'll be having a closer look at the sculpting of the figure. I really think that they went all out with this guy in terms of doing a very kind of animalistic and detailed sculpt for the kind of cartoony style that they do in the 4-inch scale. Not only is it a kind of mutated sewer shark looking kind of King Shark, but you also have some subtle details as well, and we'll get into those as we go down. We'll start at the head of the shark here, and we have these really cool little applications of the eyes on the side. I think that's very convincing, kind of looks like a hammerhead shark in that way. I really like what they did with the teeth. They're kind of all just jammed together, and there's even gills on the side of the head. So that looks terrific. There's some nose holes right there. And they even went to the trouble of painting in the gum line there. And a lot of times that's something that doesn't happen on these more animalistic kind of figures. On the back, we can see that we have lots of little scars as well. And I actually think this is a really cool little addition. I think that this one is just from where it was released from the mold, like from the sprue. So you may just sand that off or something. But still, it looks terrific in terms of head sculpt. Moving on down, we have the chest area, and we have more of that scarring we talked about earlier going on, with kind of an X scar up there and a few slashes right there. And that really kind of adds to the sort of savage appearance of the figure. On the sides, we have the muscled out arms, and on the back, we have more of those scars and a hole to put in any kind of accessory. And there's plenty of accessories that would fit that because they have a universal kind of peg system. On the arms, we kind of get one of the things that makes this stand out from the previous King Shark they released. We have a deco that almost suggests water, but it's very, very blue, and it sort of looks like he's in paint a little bit, but if you're looking at it more like cartoony water, it's a really cool effect, especially how there's kind of these little drips on the arms right there, almost like it's splashing. So I actually don't have much of a problem with that. I think it really kind of makes him stand out. So I think that that is actually a lot of fun, and it keeps him from looking kind of just base. We go down to the legs, and he's wearing gray pants, and then we just have the kind of monstrous feet down here. These are actually really detailed. There's actually some cool like toenail detail in there. And on the back, the pants just continue. It's a very Hulk look for the sculpt of the pants with the rips at the top. So I think this is a really neat look. If I would have changed anything, I would probably say that I would have went for something a little more dynamic for the coloration of the pants, as that gray just kind of fades in with the body color a little much. Maybe if they'd went for kind of an orange or like a burgundy or something, or even a green, I think any of those choices would have been nice. But still, with the arms doing a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to the contrast, I think it's an overall really cool look, and I think they did a good job. For articulation on King Shark, he does not have hardly anything at the head. You can sort of move it around. You kind of see it giving a little bit there, but I do not think it turns. I think it's just stuck in there like that. On the arms, you have what you've come to expect from this line. We can go up about this much, so it's over 90 degrees, which is quite welcome. We can of course go all the way around. There is a swivel at the elbow. It's a single joint, but it's a pretty generous single joint because they've curved this at a slant, meaning this can go up pretty far. There's nothing at the wrist because there never really is with any of the Spin Master releases. There's nothing at the waist, and then at the hips, these are pretty generous as well, allowing a really intense split. And we do have a rotation, and the legs can go up about that much, which is just about all you would ever need. Unfortunately, there is nothing at the knees and nothing at the ankles. So that's kind of unfortunate considering that that Bronze Tiger did have that kind of range down here. So I would have really preferred to have seen that. As it stands, you can't really stand him in many different ways without it just kind of falling over. Without any sort of knee articulation and without any kind of ankle articulation, you know, you're left just doing a static standing pose, and that's just about it. Whereas the arms are very workable, so you can do all sorts of cool stuff with it. But yeah, I think the articulation is acceptable, but it would have been great if they would have went the extra mile, just like they did for Bronze Tiger. And let's go ahead and have a look at some of the accessories that King Shark includes. Interestingly, King Shark doesn't appear to include anything that is necessarily for him. Instead, he includes all the kind of things that Batman would use to fight him in kind of a sea battle. So, say for instance, we have this grappling looking gun that clearly is a Batman item, but there is a jet of water coming out of it like a cyclone. I think that's really cool. You can see it kind of splashing out. So I really like that. Batman's going to, I don't know, shoot water at a shark. That will stop him. We also get an interesting variation on Batman's grapple. You can see the Bat logo there, and you can see the grapple right here stuck into the end. That can't be removed or anything, but it's cool looking, and it has a really neat handle right there. So it's just kind of an aquatic sort of color scheme. And cast in that same blue, transparent, slightly transparent plastic, we have a bat gun. These things always crack me up because it's essentially like some kind of cannon or something. So much for Batman's one rule, right? You can see the Bat logo there. Sculpting is neat on this, but it is kind of disappointing that there isn't really anything for King Shark himself. I would have loved maybe some kind of like water effect that you could have hooked on the hands and help make this deco make a little bit more sense. And I definitely like it when you get things to add to Batman's arsenal because, you know, you can put it in the Batcave or whatever you want to do with it. But it's always good to at least have something for the actual villain, because oftentimes the consequence for doing that is the villain sort of feeling like an afterthought. We'll take a quick look at how Batman looks with each of these accessories. Here he is with the water cannon, I suppose. Batman's got a super soaker. Looks pretty cool. Next up, we have Batman with his grapple. Looks really neat. It doesn't stay in particularly well. It kind of works its way back out. But once you have it in there, it's okay, especially if you leave it and don't work with it too much. And finally, we have Batman with his water cannon, I suppose, right here. And it looks pretty cool. I like how that turned out. As for the water cannon, I have plenty of versions of that in different decos. And it's interesting that the blue translucent accessories goes well with Batman's blue transparent glider pack. So you could stick this in the back of a Batman figure, and the look is quite cool. We'll do a few size comparisons with King Shark here. First off, we'll have a look at him and Bronze Tiger together. Bronze Tiger is actually quite a bit taller than him, and this goes with what I said in the Bronze Tiger review, that it seems like he is almost like a 5-inch scaled figure compared to these 4-inch scaled. So Bronze Tiger might actually be a little big, but they look cool together. Next up, in terms of monsters, we have the very small Clayface, which I think Spin Master made too small, even with his knees spread out like that. I think that he looks just a little too tiny compared to King Shark and even compared to a Batman figure. Next up, we've got Killer Croc, and I really do think that these two are the most akin in terms of what the scale is like with the two of them. Even the ripped pants sort of seem similar to me, but I don't think there's any shared sculpting necessarily. Next up, we have the Man Bat, and we'll put King Shark beside of him here. And they're in very nice scale with each other. Also, their sculpts, They also seem to have a little bit of similarity in terms of that ripped pants look. So everybody's hulking out over here in Spin Master Batman collection. And here's Batman beside a King Shark, and quite appropriately, King Shark is a little bit taller than him. Although the shoulders seem to be just right on level with each other, King Shark is ever so slightly, because of his giant hammerhead, a little bit taller than Batman. And here we have the new armored Batman, who is a little bit taller than the standard Batman releases that they do. And he is actually a little bit taller than King Shark, as you can pretty easily tell right there. So I don't think Batman's going to have much problem with this guy. And here's King Shark hanging out in the sewers with the rest of the heavy hitters from the Spin Master Batman line. And I have to say, he looks really cool with all the other guys. So overall, looking at King Shark, I would have to say that he is a really cool addition to Spin Master's ever-growing and quickly growing, might I add, League of Batman villains. So now that we're a dozen Batman villains in, Spin Master is really impressing when it comes to just how much character variety and output that they can muster with this line. They have surely outpaced Mattel completely when you look at the same kind of time frame that Mattel was releasing Batman figures in. These guys just will not stop. And it's so cool to see a King Shark that isn't some kind of store exclusive. Previously, this mold was released as a standard King Shark that was an exclusive to Target. So it is great that they made a way for him to be available again. However, they probably should have reversed the decos. The original deco, he's more of a blue King Shark and is more of the traditional look from the comics. And this is more of a repaint that is now the official standard version. So it is interesting that they didn't go the other way around, because it would seem that you would want to do some kind of repaint or something as the store exclusive and not the standard version. But I really also think that this one pops a little bit more than the standard King Shark that they released. And it might pop a little bit more than the standard King Shark figure that they did release. So that's definitely one plus of this version. However, if you own the original King Shark, should you get this one? Well, it's totally subjective. I personally think that this one has its own merits, and it comes with some pretty cool accessories for Batman as well. But at the same time, I'm not sure if he's necessarily different enough for you to worry too much about picking him up versus the original figure. However, if you're a completist like me, then chances are you'll get every single variant no matter what. And you know what? You could do a lot worse than King Shark over here. Anyway, guys, that's all for me. And until next time, be safe out there, God bless, and I'll see you on Fanboys Forever later.